having been diagnosed as a teenager with something that, just has a very scary history,
Yeah,
being told things that no one wants to hear as a teenager.
absolutely.
Tell me just a little bit about who you were as a teenager before starting to feel symptoms.
Oh, that's so cute.
Right. Do you remember?
I was like, "Do I remember, child?" You know, as a teenager, I was just like the typical teenage girl. I mean, I always say that I grew up at the age that I was, right? I was never like the teenage girl that was trying to be too grown or whatever. I was never a teenage girl that was like too young acting either. Like I was in the pocket of where I feel like a teenager should have been at the time. Um, I was obsessed with B2K. I was that girl. I had posters all over my walls. Just if it wasn't B2K, it didn't matter to me. Um, it was really dope kind of growing up as a teenager, just a bunch of friends. Um, I don't know. I just had a lot of fun. I went to the dances. I had a good time. Uh, you know, just I don't know. I guess what's so interesting is like I haven't thought about it in so long. So having to think about it in this moment, I'm like, this memory's popping up, and I'm like, wait, that happened and that happened. So it was actually overall, I just remember being a teenager. It was a great experience. I had, a lot of fun. I was just, a little teenage girl from Stockton, just living.
So, as you began to experience symptoms and have this
Mhm.
rapid decline to your accessibility, how did the accessibility challenges kind of, well, I don't want to say challenges because I want to know, how did accessibility challenge you to continue being that same teenager? Because we know that a lot of people meet ADA requirements, but not necessarily what the accessibility needs are.
Right. So the interesting thing is when I was diagnosed, I was the first person in my family with a disability. I was the only person in my friend group who had a disability. Um so for me, even the terms of accessibility wasn't even used. I didn't even identify as a person with a disability as a teenager because for me, it was always like, oh, Lauren just has this thing going on in her body, right? Because thankfully I had such a great support system, and still do at that time, that didn't switch up, didn't change. It was more so like when things were changing with my body, everyone else just naturally knew how to adjust. And so they just did without having to have a daunting conversation or like an uncomfortable conversation. It was just like one day I was responsible for making my plate for dinner. And then the next day, my mom is making my plate. But it was like, you still can't leave until you eat all your food. Like that was still the rule, right? So it was kind of that, but it wasn't like my brother or my sister was like, wait, why does Lauren not have to make her meals anymore? Like everyone just kind of knew and fell into pocket. So yeah, accessibility wasn't even a thing that I had to be concerned about because everyone adjusted so well that I didn't even tell what the difference was. It wasn't until I lived on my own as an adult in a completely different city that I started to recognize, like, wait, why can't I get in this building? Why don't y'all have ramps? Like, what is this about? Like, why am I only having to take the bus? Like, I can't get in a car? Like, what's going on? And so that's when all of that started to kick in.
Okay. Your lifestyle brand and yourself as a brand, you really promote the I am a regular, normal person who has this device, and
Yeah.
that nothing about me is altered by this. Why is that so important to you as your mission?
Because it's the part that for some reason everyone clearly ignores. Like I find it to be fascinating. Like I understand why it happens, right? It's because of the social conditioning from the time we enter school. When kids with disabilities have to be in separate classrooms, they play at a different time than the other kids in the school, and they got different teachers and they just do stuff differently in their classrooms versus the kids without disabilities and their experience in school, right? So I understand where the conditioning starts and where it comes from, this separation, this ignorance of the humanity of our existence and having to hyper focus on the medical side of our existence, right? So for me, the mission is to get people, shake them up, like I'm shaking a table again, to get people to remember, hey, these are humans, people, woo, that's me first. That's me first. So the mission is to always kind of drum that message into people's brains to get them to wake up. It's so interesting because I always have to have these conversations, like even in dating, these guys will come into my life and be like, well, if we're in a relationship, I got to take care of you in this way and that way. And it's like, but before you, I was already doing that on my own. So what is this extra burden of responsibility you see coming at your, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. You're again, you're hyper focusing on the medical side. Now, mind you, yes, I do need support in many ways, right? But I've figured that side out. So recognize me as a human first, and let's figure out if we even get along in that sense.
Right. There's other things to focus on.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
You tripping.
So in this cameo that you have on Firebuds, you're playing really yourself, with the jazzy, but you're playing on a show that already has a commitment to showing young girls, especially young Black girls, someone who looks like them. So
Yes.
first of all, just being involved in something like that must have been magic.
Oh my gosh. When I saw the first drawing of Jazzy, I screamed because I was like, look at her. I'm just like, oh my gosh. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen. I was like, oh my God, I hope my daughter looks like this one day. Like, I was just so floored. I was just overwhelmed. Like, I sent it to my mom, I sent it to my sister, and I was like, look at what they're doing. Holy crap, like what is going on? So it was absolutely incredible to see her. But then when I read the script of the episode where Jazzy's parents and her mom is doing her dad's hair, twisting his hair in the kitchen, and the description of just the scene description, he has the towel around his shoulders and she's twisting his hair with the wax, and just the description, and Jazzy's eating breakfast, and Jaden comes in trying to find the bagels. And then it was like the moment where his dad was like, oh, we got muffins, let's just stick holes in it. It was just such a Black experience that I had never seen in animation before. And so to see not only Jazzy's representation for disability being represented authentically, but her Black experience and her family as a Black family in the show being incredibly authentic as well. It was like, who wrote this? Who did this? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And one of the things that I know totally ties in with your brand with this
Yeah.
with this episode of Firebuds is that it doesn't focus on disability.
No.
It was a whole other thing. She's like, I want to be in the spotlight because, hey, I see somebody who looks like me. I want to be right in front of her face. And finding out the thing here is teamwork, and that was not the theme of the story.
Right. And that's the beauty of a show like Firebuds, right? Is like they recognize that people are different, and they honor those differences and their experiences and their cultures, right? But it doesn't have to focus on why is it different. Let's think about those common human topics that are universal to everybody: pride, ego, wanting to show up and show out, wanting to be the star. It, like, all of those different things, like those are all themes that people can all relate to, regardless of background and gender and ability and all those different things. And so yeah, that was, it's such an incredible episode. But that was one thing that I really loved about it too. It was like, yeah, Jazzy, she's trying to show up and show out. Let her show up and show out.
When you describe yourself, what would you consider your identity?
um, I don't know why these kind of questions are always like the hardest for me to answer.
Anything that has I am is always super hard,
It's
especially for
always,
women.
you know, and the thing, and I think for me, it's like, it's a challenge because I feel like there's so many things I can say, and I just don't know if I should just like minimalize it. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Anywho, as far as identify, I would say I am a very like I'm a very vulnerable person. Um, I'm working on identifying more with being a free spirit and just being more free and fearless in how I show up in any and everything that I do. Um, I am a communicator, I am a creative. Um, yeah, I'm that girl. I was like, oh, let me remember what I'm talking. I'm that girl.
Girl,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Girl.
Okay. You catch my drift? I'm that girl. But I'm also someone that deals with anxiety, and I deal with I get discouraged regularly, and I, struggle with how I want to show up on a certain day, and when I don't feel like showing up, but I have to, like, all of the things, all of the things.
If you could talk to your younger self, the
Mhm.
pre-disability self,
Yeah.
what would you want her to know?
Ooh, girl, sit down, relax. Take a chill pill, girl. I was that girl that just I was such a I am, and even to this day, like, I've always been a big dreamer, right? So I've always been like, what am I gonna do next? What do I want to do? I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's just like, girl, chill out. These boys ain't going nowhere. That's another big one. These boys ain't going nowhere. Omarion, he will be in your life one day, girl. But it's just relax, young Lauren. Have a good time, enjoy yourself. Don't worry about too much. Just keep having fun with your friends, keep being creative, having fun, keep dreaming. Yeah, that's what I would tell her.
What are some challenges for you that people wouldn't even consider a challenge, maybe don't even think about?
A check. I struggle with eating. Like, that is something that a lot of people don't know. Like, because my brain is always so focused on, like, what's the next project? What do I have to do? This meeting, that meeting, this interview. Did I call this person? Did I do this? Did I get my nails done? I got to get a hair appointment. Like, I'm thinking about all of these different things. And before I know it, I haven't eaten. And I'm like, so eating is something that has to be a conscious effort for me because I am so focused and mission driven, that those kind of like things, it doesn't even cross my brain, and it's always been a thing. So yeah, that's because I'm trying to be thick out in these streets, so I gotta eat. I gotta remember to eat, girl. I can't keep forgetting. But yeah, so eating is actually a challenge for me. Navigating how to get around the city, how to get to certain places that I want to go, is a challenge. Still showing up as authentic and open as I like to be. All of those different things. Yeah, those are still challenges.
That eating one that hit me right here. I'm also a hyper focuser, and when you are
Girl, you just don't even realize until your belly button start hitting your spinal cord, and you're like, wait a minute, this ain't right.
that ain't even my thing. I may not feel it in my stomach, it's my head. I'm like, oh yeah.
Right,
That's
exactly.
why. No, definitely. Oh yeah. I feel that hyper focus and
Yeah.
so much to do. You feel like, I mean, it's like we never, you said, you tell your younger self to slow down. It's like you never feel like there's enough time to do things. And
No.
that's for anyone, right? In general.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something that I have to deal with and be like really conscious and mindful of. So yeah, but we figured it out.
Definitely. Um, what would you tell a young Black girl who is dealing with a disability, invisible or a visible disability, right? I focus heavily on my own advocacy work on invisible disabilities
Yeah.
because I'm like, you don't have to see it to have
Right.
empathy.
Right.
But in general, we know that either side, we're going to deal with a lot of things
Right.
with disability inclusion or even the choice to use the word disability.
Yep.
So there's still not a lot of genuine representation. We're talking
Yeah.
about firebuds. That was probably one of the best representations I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But there's no focus
Yeah.
on the disability. So,
Exactly.
so given that and that being just kind of a rarity at this time, what would you tell a young Black girl?
Um, man, so many things just flew through my head at once. I just feel like I would tell her, bleh, like there's just so much to say, right? I would tell a young Black girl with a disability right now, um, uh, take the time to learn you, you know, um, enjoy your body. Enjoy your body. I know it feels like your body is attacking you,
Ooh,
and that's not a comfortable feeling, and it's hard to find love in that when it's this constant feeling of that. um but understand that there's still room to love your body, right? There's still room to love your body. You just got to find out those ways and where you find those pockets of it. And understand that when you are learning your body in this way, that it's a process. It's a constant process. It's every single day. There is no, oh, once I reach this point, I'm never going to be worried about it or think about it or be concerned about it ever. No, it don't. There is no that, right? If anything, it's more so about finding those tools to just make it a little bit easier next time,
mm.
right? So find out what your tools are, find out what makes you happy, fill yourself with the things that do bring you joy, that do bring you happiness, that do make you feel confident. That was one of the missions of my lifestyle brand, Live Solo, right? It was being able to create an online space full of resources of many people of varying disabilities. And actually, a majority of our blog writers on Live Solo are Black women, and talking about their experiences and the solutions they found and the hacks that they found. And sharing what that is, because I know my disability isn't the only one that exists, right? So it was about tapping into the community, so that way, if you can't relate to my particular disability, hopefully we have someone on there that you can relate to, that can support you and help you based on the way they've been able to navigate their lives to be positive and fun and as exciting as they can make it. So yeah, and just understand that being at the intersection of being Black, a woman, and disabled, it is a lot. So don't act like that it ain't. Don't put that pressure on yourself to act like it's not a lot. It's a lot. There's culturally things we have to deal with as Black people that are different from anybody else's experiences. There's stuff specifically to being a Black woman. Hello? Then you got a disability on top. It's a lot. It is a lot. But there is a through line for you, and your journey is your journey. Your tools are your tools. So use them, figure out what those are, and enjoy your life as much as you possibly can.
You hit my next question. I was just like, great. I'm glad we're going in this pocket. I want to talk about being multi-marginalized, but you kind
Yes.
of hit that already. I mean, it is something one you have to be honest with yourself about, and that unfortunately, a lot of the things that are crafted as means of support don't start with you.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing that we have to unfortunately navigate, right? It's this constant feeling of, why does everyone else get to do it except me, right? And having to hone in on what that is and what that means. And instead of looking at it, why do they get to do it and not me? Instead of look at it from the space of like, I'm going to do it my way and everybody else going to have to adjust to what I got going on. I was actually just having a conversation this morning with a friend where we were talking about dating, right? And he was basically saying, the difference between you and maybe the average woman is like, society is set up where a woman enters a man's world and then they adjust. But with you, Lauren, because you have a disability, because you are a Black woman and you have a level of success, men have to enter your world and adjust. And that was such a powerful way to articulate my existence and like where I'm at, and being able to take that position and own that position of, no, y'all got to enter my world and adjust, because I'm already doing enough adjusting living in society in general. So if you're going to come up in my personal space, you're going to have to adjust. And being able to have the confidence in saying that and own that. And that's something I'm still learning to this day, right? And not just in a dating perspective, but family, friends, work, all of it. You have to enter our world. And so we have to be able to have that ownership in what that looks like. And we don't have to be mean about it. We don't have to be over the top about it. We can still be as feminine and soft, because that's a theme for Black women right now, is to be soft, us learning how to be our softer selves and our more feminine selves, and still do that with a disability too. It's all a process, but just own it. That's it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, come into my world. That is so, it's radical, right?
It is.
Everything is with the person who has the disability, or even when you're talking about neurodivergent people, whatever the case is, everything is flexing to this world where, I mean, we don't have true numbers because a lot of people can't say for fear of other reasons, but I feel like the disability world is more numbers.
Oh, huge.
Oh,
huge, because there's a lot of people who have disabilities and don't even realize that they have it. One time I had to tell my mom, she's losing her hearing in one ear and has to get a hearing aid. And she was just like, yeah, I got a hearing aid. And I said, well, Mom, welcome to the disability community. And she was like, wait, what? Right. And I was like, yeah, that's a disability. Welcome. And she was like, oh my God, Lauren, I didn't even think about it like that. And I was like, yeah.
Right. Glasses, all that stuff. Right. It's impairment.
All of it.
Absolutely.
All of
so
it.
Earlier I asked you, to describe yourself and to, who are you? And you got to using your I am. And as you were labeling the adjectives, disabled wasn't one of them.
Yeah. It because again, my focus has always been about my humanity. It's about who I am, how I show up, how I feel about myself, what my beliefs are, what I what I own as myself, right? Like I definitely own my disability. And maybe I'm so comfortable with my disability at this point that I don't even see it half the time. I don't even pay attention to it, but I'm definitely disabled. That's, and sometimes it's that thing, right? It's like, well, isn't that a given? Like, don't you already know that? So it's one of those things where it's like, I want people to know me, right? Because I have a visible disability. So for me, it's one of those things like, yeah, it's there. Great. We got that. We understood that. Wonderful. So, but here's Lauren, the person. And I want to be clear too, like, I don't do it in a way that's trying to dismiss the disability. I'm never dismissive of my disability. And I'm not doing it in a way where I'm trying to get people to not pay attention to it or to ignore it, because that's not the goal at all. But it's just to say, just as much as I am fun, free, exciting, anxious, discouraged as in any other way. I am disabled as well. It's all in that same hosh posh stew that makes Lauren Spencer.
No, I love that. Thank you for that. I want to do just the first thing that comes to your mind,
Okay.
do more of and less of. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you're like more of this?
Ooh, more of, and you mean just in general, just
In
anything?
general, just in things, more things that are perfect, make you happy, or that work well for disability, anything. It don't even have to be disability. More of this,
You know
please.
what? I do when I think of, I would love just more of society um recognizing disability in a way that is fun and exciting, because one day you'll be there too. So let's have more of the reality of disability being something that, when it's your time, non-disabled people, when it's your time to experience disability, whether permanent or temporary, you too can live a wonderful and great life with your disability.
Love that. Okay, now less of.
Less of, mm, you know, I would just say just less of everybody trying to be an expert at something. Can we just let like less? It's great that, and listen, I'm the first one to tell you I ain't no expert. I ain't none of this, right? I'm just someone who shares my experiences, and for some reason people like it too. But just this less of pressure to like have to have a voice, or this pressure to have to be an expert at something to have some value to the world. Like, I just wish we allowed there to be more space for people to just show up, just be there, just exist, just, everybody ain't got to be no entrepreneur. Everybody don't have to be an expert at a topic. Everybody don't have to have a mission that they stand on and give their opinion on and make a podcast about. Just, everybody, come on, let's just chill out. Let's just exist. Let's just have a good time. Let's connect. Let's let those people who are called for those missions live out their missions. And for the people who ain't figured it out, it's okay that you ain't figured it out. Don't force yourself to do. I tell that about people with disabilities all the time on social media. You don't have to be inspirational. Don't force yourself to be inspirational. If it's your calling to do it, wonderful, do it. But don't feel like because you have a disability, now you have to be an advocate. Now that you have a disability, now you have to be a spokesperson. No, you don't. You can still be that girl that likes to eat Twinkies and watch Real Housewives. You can be that girl and enjoy it and be that only, you know? So yeah, that's what I would say to that. I just want people to be themselves. Just keep being yourself.
Love it. So you have a book coming out, Access Your Drive and Enjoy the Ride. Okay, let's talk about this book.
Yay! Okay. So my book, Access Your Drive and Enjoy the Ride, is essentially my sharing my experiences on how I was able to achieve my dreams as a person with a disability. Because a lot of people have asked, like, how did you get here, like career wise? Like, what did you do? What was so special, and all these different things. And so I decided to make a book about what I felt were those moments in my life that led me to this very moment talking to you. And it all boiled down to decision making and learning how to make a decision. And when we are at that crossroads of, should I do this or that? What are some tools and things to keep in mind? And yeah, like just what to keep in mind when it's time to make the decision that you feel is best for you in the moment. And so, yeah, I just, chapter by chapter is just a new pivotal experience, that because I made X decision, Y was what happened next. And, it's not like this rose-colored glasses book. Like, I really talk about the realities of what I had to go through in certain experiences and how I made bad decisions, but how ultimately those, and again, good and bad is all relative to your perspective, right? But from my perspective, with looking back on my life, a decision I would deem as like a bad decision, how that still led me to where I'm at now. So it's a great book. It's to just empower and share with people that, like, hey man, it's tough. It's a challenge, but hopefully if you learn how to make decisions, you can get to where you want.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for writing that book too. Right now, I don't have to write the book. I can just sit back and be who I am since,
Period. Just do you. Listen,
right.
I did not expect to write a book. I luckily just got the opportunity, and I just felt it on my heart to do something. And so I did. And now we're here. But yes, please enjoy the book. You can pre-order it now. It comes out officially on March 14th.
Yeah, congratulations. And thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. We're not doing any kind of inspiration porn, as you definitely referenced it.
Yes.
But you definitely have a really good vibe and spirit. And I think it's just super important to push that out front. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.